thanks, Neil, for making time and for being on the show. Really great to have you and pleasure to host you on the show. So what I'm going to get into is I'm going to dive into the questions right away because of lack of time. So what I'm going to keep the theme of for next 30 minutes is basically, let's say that someone is starting out at this point of time in 2023.
Okay.
And let's say they want to build something in digital, whether it's, running their own YouTube channels, blogs, digital products, affiliates, organizations, anything, right? But they believe in the power of digital. And a lot of people I know in India specifically, they believe in the power of digital. It's a huge shift that we have seen for last, 2.5, 3 years, a lot of things coming up. So I'm going to use the experience and, kind of hope that, people who are starting out can learn from this and take a lot from this. So that is going to be the theme of the conversation. And I'm going to begin generic. So let's assume that, someone is, as I said, starting out from zero, literally nothing at all, right? From your experience perspective, is it possible for someone to not spend too much money, yet build organically online, anything, right? And yeah, and if yes, then what are some 1 or 2 ways that you would recommend, for people starting out to actually try out in the beginning?
If you look at most personal brands and influencers, some of them have businesses, they didn't do it by spending money. It wasn't this big marketing push. What people forget to think about in business is, yes, marketing can help you drive more revenue, and it's a great thing. I'm in it. I have an ad agency called NP Digital. We're global. We even have an ad agency in India as well. And what we find is, and this is normal, and people pretty much know this, if you have a good product, it markets itself. You add marketing to it, you're putting fuel to the fire. You have a crap product, you do marketing, it doesn't matter how good of a marketer you are, it's not going to do that well in the long run, right? So whether you're in B2B or B2C, the easiest way to get traction without spending money is to you just give value. And what I mean by giving value is you educate, you help people out. In essence, you're building an online brand, whether it's through a corporation or whether it's personally, you're building a brand. And the way you do that is you give more than you receive. And what you give is valuable. See, if I tell you the same information that everyone else is telling you on the web, there's not that much value to it. It's regurgitated. People have already heard it. But if you start talking about new stuff, new things that no one's talking about before that really helps you, you share some stats, some data, some stuff that's fresh, you share some personal experiences that they can't read about. Those are the kind of things that makes the information unique. And then when you educate and you build an audience, then you can sell your products and services and you see revenue start coming in over time.
Okay. So, I'm going to probably dig deep in this. So, okay. So, so you probably take a niche or something which people are not talking about. You kind of build your expertise on it, or you have your expertise on it and you talk different. Don't be a me too. Rather, you probably talk something which is adding value as well as differentiated, but then probably easier said than done for most of the people, right? That was my like question that I kind of attached to it, that someone starting out today, let's say 22, 23-year-old student, just fresh out of college, want to do something of his own, right? Let's say don't have the might to build a software organization because you need coding skills and much more. Assuming they want to build something digital, right? Do you have any suggestions in mind? Where should they start? How should they start? So that they are able to build a differentiated self brand plus as well as differentiated products or offerings as we go along in the journeys.
So let's first start with the product. And when you say digital, you're talking about things like ebooks and courses and stuff like that, correct? Not software, or are you talking about software as well?
No, I'm talking about ebooks, I'm talking about courses, I'm talking about programs, some landing pages which can sell something. Yeah.
So the first thing you got to do is figure out, if you're starting off, what are you good at? What do you want to help people with? What are you an expert in essence? See, for example, I am not a doctor. Even though my last name is Patel, I'm not a Dr. Patel. I don't have anything related to medical in my brain. I have very little knowledge when it comes to health and wellness. So if I go and create a course on health and wellness, it's going to fail. Why? Because I'm not an expert at it. So the first thing is you got to be knowledgeable in the space and be passionate about the space, right? Because if you're knowledgeable and passionate, you're more likely to create better products. The second thing you need to do is then go look at everyone else's products in your space. Where are the holes in their products? What are they doing wrong? where can you differentiate? So for example, if I was selling a health and wellness course, if everyone was creating these, 1-year plan, and it involves 500 steps for people to take to do better, well, that's a lot of steps and it's a long time, and most people aren't going to actually go through all of them. But on the flip side, if you can create something that helps people see an impact in 30 days, it may not be as good as what the other programs would show in a year, but if you can show people traction in 30 days and say, hey, I got a 30-day plan, 1 step a day for 30 days. If you're happy with it, just rinse and repeat the process for life and you'll be in a much healthier spot. That could be a differentiator. So you got to see what other people are doing and where the gaps are in the market, and then make sure your product fills the gaps and it's differentiated. The second thing that you need to do is, before you start selling the product, start giving away a ton of free advice, from blogging to social media to creating, YouTube videos and LinkedIn posts. Just give away a ton of advice. You also want to participate in the community. So other profiles in health and wellness or whatever you're selling, participate on their profiles, leave comments, help their followers, because that'll help you build an audience as well. Then what you want to do is start reaching out to podcasts and ask them to interview you. If you end up doing that, you'll start building your brand as well. Most podcasts will ignore you, but some will say yes. And then from there, you build your product, you push it out, you sell it to your email list, to your followers. And what you can also do is start running ads like through Facebook or YouTube or Instagram to also generate more sales as well.
So what you're saying essentially is build trust. Once you're able to build trust, people start trusting you, then go about selling something or kind of pushing it out and monetizing that. Is that right?
That's right. But you can't just sell something. It has to be differentiated. And it can't just be differentiated in price. Yes, you ideally want to be cheaper than the competition, but you need to really be differentiated. And when I mean differentiated, like if everyone's giving a 1-year program and you can show people results in 30 days, even though it's not as good as a 1-year program, if people can see traction quicker, they're more likely to stick with you for a whole year. You can then upsell them on the remainder of a year program, right? The 11-month program after. So that way they have a 1-year program in total. The first month they bought with you, then the upsell 11 months. But you got to figure out how to be different than the existing products. The big problem with digital is most people don't watch or read all the content, and most people don't take action based on it. So if you can help people with those two things as well, of them consuming the content, taking action, they're much more likely to do better. You're more likely to generate revenue as well.
Okay, so the flip question to this is, let's say, for example, I want to build something differentiated. One way to build differentiated is I have a knowledge right now to build something differentiated. The other way is probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, is basically to go on internet and see what's available, right? And figure out, okay, maybe this is a gap and this is where I need to hit, right? So is there, and where most people fail is that, and in organizations as well and digital also, is they don't know where that gap is. It's like, for some people it's so easy to pick that gap. For a few people it's really, really difficult, right? And what I've seen, I've followed your journey for last 7-8 years. I've seen you a lot in terms of videos coming out on YouTube. Is there a way someone can build that routine that they're able to actually pick out those gaps most of the time online? When I say, I mean, study those things, read those things, look at competitors in certain ways, so that okay, this is the value probably where you can create, or this is the bag of gold where you can actually hit. Is there a framework to do it?
There could be a framework. I don't really sell digital products, so I'm not too sure. So I don't want to tell you this is how you should do it. But you pretty much broke it down, right? You go study everything, you look for the gaps, you look for the nuggets, and then you start creating your own version of it.
Got it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about 4 major things digital. Okay. I want to talk about a little bit on the video side, because that's going viral. Like, everyone is doing video. All social medias are turning into video sites. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about text, because I want to talk about if someone has a personal brand, let's say their own website, or let's say a blog, those kind of stuff. And a little bit I'm going to touch on the social media part as well, right? So I'm going to start with videos. For example, let's say someone is starting out right now, and I'm not just talking about YouTube. It can be a video put on Instagram, it can be a video put somewhere else. How can someone, let's say they figure out their niche, right? They figure out where they're good at, right? What I'm going to try to understand is, it's very difficult for people to get traffic or initially when they start out, right? And what I've seen in your journey, you are expert in getting traffic into things that you start doing. So is there a few ways people can learn to actually start getting traffics on their, let's say, channels or on their stuff which they create online, which you can suggest?
Yeah, so one is we already talked about posting really good content that is different than other people's. The second is do collaborations. So let's say if you're posting content on Instagram, you can do a collaboration with another person, which will help you get more views and followers. You can also start going live with other people. So like we're doing this podcast interview. In theory, we could have done it on Instagram and both went live on our Instagram. You would get more followers. I would get more followers. It would be a win-win. You can reach out to other podcasters and ask them to be a guest on their show. That works really well. You can also create your own podcast and ask influential people to be a guest on your show. And then once a show goes live, you ask them to share it on their social profiles, which will get you more followers, more traffic, etc. The other thing that I recommend everyone doing, even if you're selling digital products, is create free tools. So you can use ChatGPT to create free tools. You may have to pay a developer to help you a little bit, but ChatGPT created the game of Pong in roughly 60 seconds. Or you can use sites like Code Canyon. You can white label tools in almost any vertical for $15, $20, $30 and put it on your website. People link a lot to free tools. They generate a lot of traffic, which makes your whole site and your social presence become more popular. If people want to keep using your free tool, ask them to give you their email address in exchange for using it for free. So that way you got a big email list, which you can use to sell your products and services. The other strategy that you can use to just get a lot of traffic over and over again is look for all the popular content on the web. You can use tools like Ubersuggest to see that within your space. You put in a keyword, it'll show you what's popular based on social shares. And you can create infographics based on those data points, cite it, hit up all the people that originally shared that article and ask them to share the infographic, hit up all the people that link to that article, which again, Ubersuggest will show you that, and ask them to link to the infographic because it breaks it all down in a visual format as well. And you can use tools like Infogram and Canva to create the infographics as well.
Okay. So I'm going to probably have another question on this. So, okay, let's say someone is following all these strategies, right? Is it still possible? So what I've seen, I'll talk about, as a beginner, right? So what I've seen is, let's say I'm putting something out on YouTube, right? It's a content that people want to search about. So there are two things, right? One, you put out content which is SEO friendly. So you probably talk about things which people are searching right now, right? Second is you want to put out that long form content in terms of things that will stay forever. So you want to put out, let's say, something which I believe people should know, but maybe they're not searching for it right now. So what I've seen is specifically with YouTube and a lot of other forums is that you don't get so much engagement, specifically if you're just starting out. You don't get so much reach in terms of impressions because people are not searching that content out. Do you suggest people to do paid campaigns on their videos, on their channels to basically get the initial traffic, or should they focus on building that organic traffic initially?
So you can do paid campaigns. It does help, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you can get that traction without paying too. The reason most people don't get the traction if they're a new channel is because their videos aren't getting engagement. And here's what I mean by that. Engagement has nothing to do with views. Engagement is someone watching your video and sticking around and not clicking a back button, or someone watching the whole video and leaving a comment. That's the example of great engagement. So your videos need to encourage comments. You can ask people questions. They'll leave a comment within the YouTube channel or beneath your video if you're asking them questions within the video. So for example, we're talking about traffic techniques here. If this video is published to YouTube, I would also ask, hey, I just broke down 5 tactics. Which one is your favorite? And if you've tried any, what are your results? And let me know so that way I can help you out and tell you what you're doing wrong and help you fix it. Right? So when you're engaging with the audience, that creates more comments. More comments for most of these social networks is a way to get your videos much, much more views. And what people are doing is they're creating videos. The quality is poor. When I'm saying quality, I'm not talking about production quality like the video quality. I'm talking about the quality of the content, the education, the information, the value that they're getting. When that's amazing, people engage more, they'll like it, they'll share it, they'll leave comments. That's what causes new channels to get more views. And that's what a lot of people, when they're creating content, don't think about, how should I start off my video to keep people hooked and engaged for the whole 5-10 minutes that my video is? Versus just creating a video and be like, hey everyone, I'm Neil Patel. Today I'm going to talk about SEO and how to get more traffic to your site. If I talked like that in my videos, no one would watch and everyone would leave. Right? So that's what I mean by they're not creating engaging content. It's not just tonality and voice tone, but it's also the intro. It's how you hook them. Instead of me saying, hey, I'm Neil Patel. Today, I'm going to talk about SEO and how you get more traffic through it. Instead of starting out my video like that, I may start off my video with, I use this image on my website and it increased my visitor count by 1,332 visits. And guess what? Anyone can use this strategy in 3 simple steps. And then I'll say, hey, everyone, my name is Neil Patel, and today I'm going to break down the hack I just used to get more traffic to my site using Google image search, and then break down the strategy.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
That's hooking people in to get them to watch the rest of the video.
Got it. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to switch probably because of the lack of time to, I wish I had more time. So I would have probably dwelled deep. But yeah, let's say, for example, someone is not doing videos, not their cup of tea, right? But a lot of people used to blog. Now also a lot of people blog, but it is kind of, I don't know, for a lot of outsider, it is dying out. But I see a lot of new bloggers coming up and saying, hey, I just made $10,000 this month doing this event blog or something like that. But I'm going to take your opinion one. Do you feel that, blog is probably gone long, history, or still people can start with something new, write a blog on and make a living for themselves, at least to start with? That's going to be question number one. Second, let's say I'm going to write a blog or I'm going to create my own landing page. I know you're an expert on traffic again. So can there be, like, let's say 1, 2, or 3 strategies that anyone can basically just use to get little bit more traffic than they usually do? Is there something that you can break that down? Yeah.
So first off, blogging still works. It's super effective. It can drive a lot of revenue, and it's definitely worth it. The reason most people don't get traction from the blog is they do it wrong. One, they just create content that all the other blogs create. They're not offering anything unique and new. If you're not creating anything unique and new in your blog content, you're not going to end up doing well. So you got to end up with your blogging. You got to end up offering new, unique content that no one's read about. So for example, if I had a health website, I wouldn't talk about the nutrition facts of bananas. People love bananas. They eat them all over the world. But you know what? You know how many articles talk about the nutrition facts about bananas? A lot of them. There's nothing new there. You got to create new content that people haven't already read before, or that's not already talked about another million times on the internet. So if you focus your articles on new content, you're really good. The second thing is on Ubersuggest, we have a content gaps analysis. So what you do is you put in your competitors and you put in your URL, and it'll show you all the content pieces that they've created that are generating a lot of traffic for them. That's not that you're not ranking for or getting traffic for. And what you'll want to do is look at those articles and see if that would be relevant to your audience and that would benefit your potential customers. And what you'll want to do is then create content, not just on those topics, but create better versions of it. So if someone created an article on, let's go back to bananas, the nutrition facts about bananas, and they're getting a lot of traffic, yeah, I could talk about the nutrition facts, but again, it's already been beaten to death. I would talk about, yes, it's nutritious, here's the nutrition facts, but the real problem is to get this, and I'm making this up here, but I'm just for example, the real problem with the nutrition facts about bananas is actually hard to eat that many bananas to get the real value. So here's how you can integrate bananas into your daily diet with real ease. Here's 4 or 5 different ways, and this is the results. And when you start doing things like that, what you'll find is you'll start generating much more traffic because you're going above and beyond the competition. What I would end up doing is I would end up breaking down, all right, who are all the people that link to my competition, right? Because it shows you in the Uber Success report where you saw your competition getting tons of traffic. And what I would end up doing is I would head up all the sites that link to the competition that says, hey, you linked to this article about banana nutrition facts. That's great. We also have an article that talks about that, but their article misses X, Y, and Z. And we talk about how you can consume it in ease, how you can't, what you need to change. If you eat too many bananas, here's the issues that end up happening to your skin or your health or whatever it may be. So it's just, you have to go more in depth, try to talk about new stuff, showcase some stats and data points. And on top of that, reach out to all the other people that are linking to the competition, ask them to link to you. And when you do that over time, you'll start getting more traffic as well. The other strategy I like doing is I look at all the people who shared my competition's articles let's say on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and be like, hey, I noticed you tweeted out this article for X, Y, and Z. We have a similar article, but ours contains A, B, and C. We'd love for you to share it. If we can share any of your content, just let us know. Thanks.
Got it. Got it. So what you're saying is probably, again, I think I've seen what the common answer to like probably the videos and this part is that you do your research, right? Probably figure out the gaps. And then once you basically go on it, then you kind of look at other competitors and see if you can get other people to hook on. Probably similar to what you said on the video as well. Got it. Okay. And do you think there are some probably some hidden tactics that people probably aren't following, because I see a lot of people say, okay, maybe event blogs, for example, they do really well in a short span of time, versus let's say something which talks on a niche which probably you need to build on for a longer duration of time. So do you believe that people can actually work on things like event blogs? For example, a FIFA World Cup is coming on, or a Black Friday sale is coming on, and just get tons of traffic for that duration of time, and then probably leave it on? Is that a good strategy for someone starting out?
It could. You can do trending stuff, but it's not that easy to get traffic for those kind of things unless you built up a foundation already. It's not like you can pop up a website, leverage Black Friday stuff, and get a ton of traffic. You got to build the traffic and the audience first, and then do the Black Friday promotions or Christmas promotions or Valentine's Day promotions or whatever you want to end up calling it. But you got to build up the audience first and have the foundation. If you don't build up the foundation, it's not going to work. Where most people make a mistake is they're not willing to put in the time to create A, unique content, and B, they're not willing to do the outreach to promote it. We'll spend 20% of our time to create content, 80% of the time to promote it. And included in that 80% of the time, one of the things we do is constantly keep our content up to date. So people write content and then they have this attitude of set it and forget it, in which they create it, publish it, and that's it. But if you look at any keyword on the web, there's a good chance Wikipedia ranks for it. Why? Because our content is continually updated. So if you want to do well, no one wants to read an article that's a year old or 3 years old when they can read a fresh article. So you need to constantly modify and update your article so that way it's relevant and useful to users as well. That would be included in the 80% of the promotional time. Website owners don't want to do this. This stuff provides great results, but it takes time. It's easy to make money on the web if you're willing to put in the time and energy and you're patient. It's hard to make money on the web if you're not willing to put the time and energy in it and you're just looking for shortcuts.
Got it. Okay. So probably last two questions, given that we have 5-6 minutes. So one, I wanted to talk about building an email list, because I think it's very underrated. Probably you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I think a lot of people build this email list that leads to a lot of trust, and then they can do a lot of stuff around it. But it's so hard to do it, unlike, and it's not so trendy to do it, because a lot of people do try to build a social media following and YouTube following, but they don't work on an email list. So is there a way someone who has no following at all, let's say, for example, someone has only 300 Instagram followers, only 500 people, let's say on Facebook or something, on a Twitter or something like that, can they still build an email list? Is there a way someone can build that email list? That's going to be my question number one. And I'm going to put the other question as well. Can we use the technology which is coming up right now, for example, let's say AI, chat GPT, stuff, similar kind of tools, to actually do something like that, automate all of these processes and do something on those stuff as well?
So the second part of the question, we haven't seen ChatGPT and Bard really automate a lot of the systems and processes effectively yet. I'm not saying it won't happen in the future. It's just not there yet. Building an email list is super effective. The key, though, is how do you get people to opt in? Sending people from paid traffic to opt into email lists isn't bad, but it's usually not as effective as organic strategies. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. We just see a combination of both as the best strategy. So you can do paid traffic, but what I would highly recommend is how can you go out there and how can you end up giving away something for free that people are used to paying for, so that way you can get an opt-in. So for example, we have a tool called Answer the Public. You use it, and if you use it a lot, you can opt in to keep using it, right, for free. And it allows us to collect more emails that we can market to over time. So we talked about this using ChatGPT and Bard to help you create tools. You're using sites like Code Canyon and white labeling tools, but you need to go out there and give away stuff for free that people are used to paying for. That's the easiest way to collect emails right now.
Got it. And is it very niche specific? For example, if I'm giving out something, let's say in digital product, let's say a digital marketing product free of cost for someone, should I then build my niche in digital marketing, or can I just give away free? Can I give free anything and then probably build my niche into something else?
Yeah, it needs to be in whatever niche you are. So if you're in health and wellness, your tools need to be in health and wellness. So for example, we're in marketing. Our versions of tools are Uber Suggest, Answer the Public. We do infographics. We have A/B testing calculator tools. We have the ads grader. We have a lot of stuff within our vertical. If I was selling wellness stuff, but I give away marketing tools, yeah, I'll get traction. But when I sell my product, I'm not going to generate any revenue because it's the wrong type of audience.
Okay. So probably the last question. So, okay. So good enough. I think I took your 25 minutes, got to learn a lot. But let's say, for example, someone wants to actually keep learning this stuff because I have less time. So I'm going to put this to you. So where do you read your stuff, or like, where do you learn your stuff from? Because a lot of time what happens is that we do end up seeing these kind of podcasts and we don't apply anything and it completely gets wasted, right? What I want the audience to take away is, of course, I want them to be motivated, but I also want them to go back, have something to learn on, and probably utilize their energy into one direction. So do you have any reading suggestions in mind for people to actually start on this? Anything digital would work.
So you're saying, how can we get people to take action? Or
I'm
what
saying,
are they
how can
reading?
we, yeah, how, so what I'm asking is, where do you get your learnings from? And do you have any suggestions for people to, follow something, take some courses, read some books, or do something to basically learn on top of it? Because there's so much information available on it.
So I learned most of my stuff by going to conferences, talking with other people within my industry and sharing advice, like just networking in essence. And B, I read, but I don't read a lot of marketing knowledge. I probably spend 30 minutes to hour a day reading marketing knowledge. I follow all the basic sites, like Adweek, Ad Age, Search Engine Land, Search Engine Journal, Backlink, go neilpatel.com, which I'm writing stuff for other people to read, not really me to read my own site. But you get the point there. But where we really learn is the first few, going to conferences, networking with other people in the industry and sharing tactics. But the last one is also very super important. We try and test a lot of stuff and run experiments on our own websites. When you do that, you end up learning on, hey, I did this and this was the results, or I didn't do this, or I did this and my traffic tanked. Well, why? Let me go check it out. Oh, let me fix it. Let me try to reverse it. Through trial and error, you'll learn a lot and it helps you improve over time.
Got it. Fine. I think, thanks, Neil. Thanks so much for your time. I wish I had more time, so would have probably dwelled deep into a lot of stuff. I wanted to touch on few aspects because I wanted to make it useful for a lot of people, different set of people who would see this. But again, thanks a lot. Thanks a ton for being on the show. And yeah, I hope to catch up sometime else when you have time and probably dig deep into some of these stuffs as well.